Heartwarming discovery. CEO exposed the cashier's incredible sacrifice to feed her baby. What change will it spark? Maya stood behind the cash register, her eyes dancing between the bright cereal boxes and the long line of impatient customers. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, illuminating her tired smile. Every "thank you" from a customer dripped with gratitude, yet sank into the pit of anxiety in her stomach. She was a 30-year-old single mother, juggling two roles, cashier and mom, while her heart whispered fears of unpaid bills and rising prices. Her baby boy, Leo, nestled in a carrier slung over her shoulder, stirred slightly, reminding her that hope was near. With each beep of the scanner, she repressed thoughts of the half-empty fridge at home. Maya was tough, but the struggle wore on her. Friends told her to ask for help, but pride tightened its grip. She was determined to make it on her own, a warrior against life's relentless demands. Yet, as her hands worked the register, every starry-eyed dream seemed to fade behind the gray reality of constant sacrifice. Then, on that ordinary Tuesday, fate intervened in the unlikeliest of ways. Richard, the local tech company's charming CEO, strolled into the grocery store to grab a quick snack. Amid the hustle, he found himself drawn to Maya. There she was, a whirlwind of motion, stocking shelves, calms Leo with a gentle sway, all while ringing up the next customer. His heart swelled at this display of unwavering strength. What was it about her? He began to observe as she flicked her hair back, her smile still shining beneath layers of fatigue. She was a fighter, a flicker of light in the otherwise mundane setting. Intrigued, he dug deeper, seeking to learn of the woman behind the register. "Hey, how's it going?" He struck up a conversation, genuine curiosity lighting his voice while Maya focused on balancing customer needs and keeping her baby happy. Richard's heart sank as Maya shared snippets of her life, the sleepless nights working extra shifts, the tight budget steering her family's fate, the fear of being judged while balancing pride and necessity. The connection became palpable, filling the grocery store with electricity. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The seeds of determination were planted in Richard's mind. He knew he had to change this narrative, pitching a supportive initiative for single parents at his next board meeting. But as he presented her story, the board erupted. Some argued for meritocracy, insisting everyone should pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Others felt the weight of social responsibility. Maya's heart raced for her family, teetering on the edge of vulnerability, wondering if she could wear the crown of the face of change. Emotions surged as Richard battled his conscience, the privileges he'd enjoyed shattering against the rawness of Maya's struggles. As the battle raged within, she stood at a crossroads where courage and fear collided. The world was watching, holding its breath. Would she step forward and share her truth, or slip back into the shadows? The silence crackled with tension, hanging in the air like a fragile promise. The audience waited, their eyes wide, all eager to see what came next for Maya and Richard. Maya could feel her heart pounding against her chest, each echo a reminder of everything she had fought for. There she stood, under the spotlight of Richard's decision, but also of the entire boardroom. Faces around her blended into a sea of anticipation and judgment. She glanced at Richard, who wore a mask of determination, yet she could see the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "Here goes nothing," she thought, a surge of courage washing over her. She took a deep breath, ready to share the story she had tucked away under layers of pride and fear. "I know what it's like to struggle," she began, her voice steady despite the shaking in her hands. "Every day, I wonder how to stretch my dollar enough to feed my baby, to keep a roof over our heads. I work, not for luxuries but for the little things: diapers, formula, and sometimes, simply enough food to fill a tiny belly." Maya could sense the shift in the room as she spoke. Faces softened, brows furrowed in empathy, the harshness of the board's earlier words dissipating like fog. The room, once electric in its judgment, now pulsed with understanding. "I am not asking for charity," she pressed on, gazing into the concerned faces. "All I'm asking for is a chance for me and others like me to work. To have jobs that pay us a living wage, to provide not just for our children, but to teach them that hard work can take them anywhere." Her voice grew stronger. She could feel Leo stir against her, his little hand wrapping around her finger, grounding her. "But to do that I need support. We need support. If you believe in lifting people up instead of letting them fall, then we all have something to gain in this fight." Richard's expression shifted, reflecting admiration and an urge to act. He nodded slowly, recognizing that her words transcended simple financial support. They spoke to a hunger for dignity, a human right lost in the grind of survival. The murmurs of agreement that rippled through the board made Maya's heart swell with a mixture of hope and fear. What if this was the beginning? Yet, with determination came doubt. Would her truth be strong enough to break through the rigid barriers of corporate policies? Could they somehow honor this connection? As the meeting continued, Richard's voice rose above the din, advocating passionately for a new approach, all eyes fixed on him and Maya the face of a wave of change. The board began to respond, murmurs turning to discussions, ideas igniting under the weight of Maya's story. But while their talk filled the air with excitement, Maya couldn't escape the cool grip of reality. What came next? Would this moment unfold into action or fade into empty promises? Through it all, Leo let out a soft coo, as if to say everything would be all right. But doubt clawed at her heart. Would the world keep its word, or would she find herself back behind the register, struggling with the mundane? Something more than words was brewing, something deep like a spring ready to burst forth. And with every tick of the clock, anticipation surged. Maya stood on the brink, the floodgates of change wide open, her fate intertwined with Richard's ambition and the board's decision. She wondered, was she strong enough to steer this course? As seconds passed like hours, a ringing phone on the conference table broke the tension, drawing every eye in its direction. The question it bore hung impossibly heavy in the air. Who could it be, and what would this call decide? The phone continued to ring, its shrill tones slicing through the palpable tension. Maya felt her stomach twist. Every eye in the room was now glued to Richard, waiting for him to pick it up. She couldn't help but wonder what news awaited them on the other end. His hesitance was evident. He glanced at her, then back at the phone, grim determination etched on his face. Finally, with a deep breath, he reached for the receiver. "Hello?" he said, his voice steady but soon fading into focused silence as the person on the other end spoke. Maya couldn't make out the words, but she could see the way Richard's brows knitted together in concern. Each nod and frown felt like a small earthquake beneath her feet, sending shocks of worry through her. The board members leaned in, whispers filling the room like wild, flickering flames, uncertainty crackling in the air. Maya's heart raced. What if this was the moment that unraveled everything she had fought for? What if it was bad news? "Thank you," Richard finally said, his voice low, as he hung up. He cleared his throat to make an announcement. "That was our partner in the community outreach program." He paused, a flicker of something, could it be hope, glistening in his eyes. "They've agreed to expand our initiative." Maya's heart skipped a beat, but before she could fully process the meaning, he continued. "This means we can support more families, and we'll start with funding living wage jobs." Gasps filled the room, and Maya's breath caught in her throat, disbelief washing over her. Richard turned to her, his gaze intense. "Maya, they're also asking for individuals to help lead this program. They want you to be a voice for the families. They see potential in your story." The air was electric. Maya's eyes widened, and she felt a surge of emotions washing over her, a giddy mix of fear and excitement. "Me?" she whispered. The board nodded, and the sense of camaraderie blossomed, filling the air with a promise. She could see their faces soften, expressions turning genuine, hopeful. They weren't just seeing her as a cashier but as a beacon of change, a catalyst for the community. "I don't know what to say." The words stumbled out, but Maya felt a tight knot of urgency in her stomach. The significance of what lay ahead was starting to sink in. This could be it, she thought, her emotions flaring. A chance to really make a difference. But a nagging doubt crept in. What if I fail? Richard stepped closer, his voice steady and reassuring. Trust yourself, Maya. You've already inspired us. Now you have the opportunity to inspire others. You can do this. Maya looked around the room at the faces of board members, no longer just strangers but allies in her mission. She felt supported, and a small flicker of confidence ignited within her. With Leo peacefully settled in her arms, she realized she wasn't just fighting for her own future but for countless others, mothers and fathers just like her, struggling yet unyielding. What will it take? She finally asked, her voice steady, a newfound conviction radiating. I'll do it, but I need to understand what is expected. As the board members began drafting plans, she felt the room buzzing with the energy of possibility. The path ahead was still uncertain, yet brighter than ever before. Laughter and enthusiasm flowed over them as they brainstormed together, a collective dream coming alive. But amid the excitement, Maya felt a surge of anxiety. There was a lot left to navigate, and she couldn't shake the weight of the responsibility she was about to take on. The meeting wrapped up, and Maya took a deep breath, glancing out the window as dusk settled over the city. Yes, they had taken the first step. But what about the challenges that awaited her? Her heart still hammered, a reminder that the fight was far from over. Could she truly step into this new role? Or was this a challenge too daunting to embrace? The calls of change had been made. Now, only time could reveal what transformations awaited her, and the weight of that uncertainty loomed large. The following morning, the sunlight crept through the curtains, casting soft beams across the room. Maya blinked awake, her heart racing with the memories of last night's meeting swirling through her mind. The weight of the proposal lingered, as if wrapped around her like a security blanket. She looked down and saw Leo, still peacefully asleep in her arms. This was it. Today marked the beginning of something new, something terrifying, but also bursting with potential. She could feel the energy of possibility humming in her veins. She slipped out of bed, careful not to disturb him, and padded to the kitchen where the aroma of brewing coffee welcomed her. As she sipped the steaming mug, her thoughts drifted to the families in their community, the ones struggling to make ends meet, just as she had. What if she could really make a difference for them? Her determination surged, mingling with the pangs of anxiety. Could she be the voice they needed? Maya dressed quickly, determination spurring her on. The plan was to meet with Richard and finalize the details of her role in the outreach program. She could already visualize herself standing before a crowd, empowered and ready to advocate for people like her, inspiring them to believe in themselves. The image almost made her smile. An hour later, she arrived at the office, a nervous flutter dancing in her stomach. Richard was already there, poring over documents with the board members. As she stepped inside, he looked up and smiled warmly. You're just in time. We're going over everything we discussed yesterday. Each member welcomed her with nods of encouragement. They were a united front, ready to embark on a journey that could change lives. As they shared ideas and strategies, Maya felt the overwhelming anxiety begin to melt away, replaced by a sense of purpose. This was meant to be. As they mapped out the program, she settled into her role more comfortably than she ever anticipated. Plans formed around her, each discussion more exciting than the last. But then, as they dove into specifics, something was brought up that made her pause. We should focus on identifying key families to support, one board member suggested. We need to know who will need assistance the most. Maya's breath caught in her throat. But what about those who don't know they need it? She asked, the realization striking her with a wave of emotion. There are many families who feel ashamed to ask for help. We need to reach them, too. The room fell silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. Then a board member murmured, that insight could change everything. Richard nodded vigorously, as if a light bulb had gone off. You're absolutely right, Maya. We need a way to engage with those families directly, to make them feel welcomed and valued. Maya felt an unexpected warmth spread through her as they began brainstorming ways to break down barriers. It wasn't just about providing opportunities. It was about opening hearts and building trust. As the meeting progressed, the conversation expanded beyond logistics into something deeper, a vision rooted in compassion. They talked about storytelling, creating platforms where families could share their experiences. The realization surged in her again. This was more than a project. It was about community and connection. By the end of the meeting, she felt charged, like a fire burning bright within. She could see how significant this moment was, but along with the thrill came a new anxiety. Would her ideas truly resonate? Would families open up? As Maya stood outside the building later that afternoon, the sun setting in a brilliant hue of orange, she wrestled with the fear of failure. The stakes felt higher than ever before, and doubts crept in like shadows. Was she really ready to take on this role? But then she glanced down at Leo, who looked up at her with wide eyes full of trust. "Okay," she whispered to him, "we'll do this together." With newfound resolve, she began to walk home, her mind racing with the possibility of what lay ahead. Yet uncertainty still clung to her. A nagging thought of whether she could truly rise to the occasion. Was this the beginning of her journey, or just another hurdle to overcome? Maya's thoughts swirled around her like autumn leaves caught in a gust of wind as she walked home. Each step felt both heavier and lighter at once, filled with purpose yet tinged with worry. The vibrant sunset painted the buildings around her in gold and crimson, but all she could see was the challenge ahead. When she reached her small apartment, a familiar comfort washed over her. The walls held the laughter of Leo, the warmth of small milestones, and the echo of dreams yet to be fulfilled. She placed Leo in his playpen, his giggles weaving through her thoughts, pulling her back to the present. Maya took a moment to breathe, to center herself. She had a meeting scheduled for the following day, one that would focus on reaching out to the families that needed support the most. Her mind raced with ideas how to create a flyer that would resonate, how to approach them without instilling fear. Just then, Leo crawled over to her, reaching up with his chubby hands, his little face bright with hope. She couldn't help but smile. "Hey buddy, helping me brainstorm already?" she asked, ruffling his hair. He cooed in response, and as she lifted him into her arms, she felt warmth flood her heart, a reminder of why she was doing this. That night, in the quiet moments before sleep, she scribbled down thoughts in her notebook. Collaboration with community leaders, hosting a potluck to break the ice, and sharing success stories were just a few of her ideas. The ink flowed easily, and as her dreams expanded, her doubts began to retreat. The next morning arrived with a sense of determination that ignited her spirit. Maya woke with Leo nestled beside her, still asleep, his little chest rising and falling peacefully. She took a moment to enjoy that stillness, savoring the beauty of new beginnings before the world amplified again. After a quick breakfast, she put Leo in a sturdy backpack, snapping him in securely as she prepared to head out again. The upcoming meeting loomed large in her mind, but there was no backing down now. She couldn't afford to falter. Today was the day she would present her ideas to Richard and the board, illuminating her vision for outreach. Taking one last glance in the mirror, she pushed any lingering doubts aside. "I can do this," she whispered to her reflection. "I have to do this." The office buzzed with energy when she arrived. Richard greeted her with an encouraging smile. "Ready?" he asked, clearly reading her nerves. "More than ever," Maya replied, her heart pounding fast but steadying as she entered the meeting room. As they gathered around the table, she took a breath and laid out her proposals. Maya felt the tension in the room ease as she spoke clearly and passionately about breaking barriers and building connections. She could see their eyes spark with intrigue, and it fueled her determination. Halfway through, she decided to take a risk. What if we partnered with local businesses to create incentives? Reward families who come forward to engage? It could help destigmatize their situation. Richard nodded thoughtfully. "It's bold. And it might just be the hook we need." Maya's heart soared. They began to bounce ideas off each other, excitement building, the energy in the room transforming. Somewhere within her, she felt the strong tether of community begin to weave itself together. But just as the discussion deepened, her phone buzzed with a text. Glancing at her screen, her breath itched. It was the daycare informing her that Leo had a slight fever and needed to be picked up. Her heart sank, worry flooding in like a tide. How could she be there for Leo and fight this battle simultaneously? Richard glanced her way and noticed her distress. "Everything okay?" he asked, concern edging his voice. Maya offered a shaky smile but knew the weight of the truth loomed larger than she could admit. "I have to go. Leo's not feeling well," she said quietly, her heart breaking a little. Feeling the coolness of impending defeat, she rose from her chair. Would this setback push her further away from her goals? Just as she turned to exit, Richard added, "Maya, family comes first. We'll go on without you today, and you can keep us updated. Take care of him." His words wrapped around her like a lifeline, bringing a flicker of warmth to the uncertainty gnawing at her gut. As she walked back to her car, cradling the full weight of responsibilities, another thought emerged. If she could raise Leo to understand community and advocacy, maybe all of this would hold even deeper meaning. All the pain, the struggles, they could be the seeds of something beautiful. But where did she draw the line between personal and professional? The questions weighed heavily on her heart. It was clear that everything was intertwined in the most complicated and beautiful way possible. What was the next step when life felt like a balancing act? Would she manage to weave them together, or would she have to sacrifice one for the other? Maya rushed home, her thoughts darting like fireflies in the dark. Every bump in the road seemed to resonate with her anxiety. Would Leo be okay? She parked the car and dashed into the apartment, her heart racing, almost as fast as her footsteps. Leo lay on the playpen mat, his small body shimmering with sweat, while his little cheeks were flushed in a bright shade of pink. She knelt beside him, running a cool hand over his forehead. "Hey, champ, it's okay," she whispered, feeling her heart clench at the sight. He stirred slightly and blinked up at her, the hint of a smile breaking through his discomfort. "Mommy's here," she murmured, pushing the hair off his forehead. Holding him close, she felt his tiny heart thumping against her. It felt like the anchor she needed. Just then, the phone buzzed again. This time, it was Richard. "Maya, we're all thinking of Leo. Please keep us posted. Your ideas can wait." Her chest tightened, a tide of relief mixed with fresh worry. "Thank you, Richard," she typed back, her fingers shaking slightly. That simple message reminded her she wasn't alone. Holding Leo easier in her arms, the mutual comfort they shared seeped into her nervousness. She rocked him gently, humming a tune that had been etched in her mind since childhood. As she sang, she noticed how his eyelids fluttered, finally surrendering to sleep, a small, beautiful escape from the fever. Once Leo was asleep, Maya quietly returned to her notebook, eager to refine her plan. Sitting cross-legged on the living room floor, surrounded by crayon drawings and stuffed animals, she flipped open the pages where ideas began to bloom. Each one stood out like a beacon of hope. Maybe they could work with hospitals to provide resources. Maybe they could set up a website as a community hub. But the best idea? A support group. A safe space for parents to share, to listen, and to help each other. But lost in thought, a clatter drew her attention. She glanced towards the kitchen and saw a neighbor's child, Timmy, peering through the window. A heavy frown marked his young face. "Is Leo sick?" he called out, concern lacing his voice. Maya stood, wiping her hands on her jeans. "He's all right, just a little under the weather," she assured him, stepping outside. The bright sun illuminated his inquisitive face, and for a moment, the worry faded into the background. Timmy shuffled his feet, his eyes darting to the playpen. "I can help him get better. I can share my dinosaur stickers with him." She laughed softly, kneeling to Timmy's eye level. "That sounds like the perfect medicine." "Thank you, Timmy." Gratitude washed over her, soothing some of the tightness in her chest. Kids had a unique sense of connection, didn't they? Their ability to uplift was pure magic. Maya grinned, feeling her spirits lift. "How about you come in and draw some pictures for him? That'll make him smile when he wakes up." His face beamed brighter than the sun. Yeah. I can draw a T-Rex. As she watched him scamper inside, creativity bubbling over, her worries began to whittle away. Stories, laughter, and mentoring dreams, maybe it was all connected. Isn't that what she wanted to build? A solid community foundation built on kindness and collaboration, where no one felt alone. Soon, colorful art lay sprawled across the table, each drawing a little piece of wellness they could share, a remedy in their own right. They finally settled down together, laughing about the ridiculousness of Timmy's dinosaurs in space, the laughter infectious and filling the small apartment with warmth. But then, a thought whispered in the back of her mind. Amidst the joy of being there for Leo and the excitement of these community visions, could she manage her own emotional turmoil? The balancing act was harder than any tightrope performance. That night, as she tucked Leo into bed, the weight of choices loomed heavily again. She kissed his forehead, feeling the warmth ease back into his skin. "We'll figure it out together," she whispered, though uncertainty clung tightly to her heart. As she shut the door softly, a familiar ache settled in. What was the truth behind her community connections? Could she truly create a bridge when she was still trying to cross the chasm of her own heart? The answer floated in the air like a question mark, haunting her, a reminder of the trials yet to come as she navigated the journey of love and service, personal and professional. The choices lay ahead, waiting like small stepping stones across a swollen river, daring her to leap forward. Maya woke the next morning to the soft sounds of Leo restless in his crib, a faint whimper pulling her from sleep. She rubbed the sleep from her eyes and padded across the hallway. As she opened his door, she was met with the sight of him sitting up, his little body propped against the playpen bars, eyes wide and searching. "Good morning, sunshine," she chirped, her heart uplifting at his bright smile. The fever had retreated overnight. Still, the worry gnawed at her. Would he stay healthy? She scooped him up, lifting him high into the air. His laughter echoed around their small apartment, filling the space with an innocent joy that chased away her doubts, even if just for a moment. Their morning routine was simple, but today felt different. As she prepared breakfast, Maya allowed herself to daydream about the support group she wanted to start. The idea filled her with a warm certainty. She wondered if parents like her would gather, each sharing their stories, their struggles. It was important, she realized, to remind each other that they were not alone in turbulent waters. After breakfast, with Leo safely nestled in a booster seat, Maya grabbed her notebook. She began writing down ideas, a name for the group, potential topics, and maybe even a schedule. But the excitement of creation was interrupted when she heard a knock at the door. Opening it, she found Mrs. James, their elderly neighbor, standing there with a batch of freshly baked muffins. "I thought these might brighten your day," she said, her voice warm and inviting. The scent drifted into the apartment, and Maya couldn't help but smile. "Oh, thank you so much, Mrs. James. They smelled delicious." Leo's eyes lit up, reaching for a muffin, his little fingers almost slipping from his grasp. Maya chuckled, placing it in front of him. As she chatted with Mrs. James, her worries slowly deflated, replaced by the warmth of community. "Is Leo feeling better?" Mrs. James asked, her brow furrowing slightly. "He is, thankfully," Maya replied. "But it's been a tough few days." Mrs. James nodded knowingly. "It's those little ones that keep us on our toes. You know, when my kids were young, I wish I'd had something like a support group. It can get so lonely." Maya paused. Here was an echo of her own thoughts. "Exactly. That's what I'm hoping to create, a place for parents to connect. It's cumbersome to carry everything alone, isn't it?" Mrs. James' eyes glimmered with understanding. "Oh dear, yes. We need each other. If you need any help with it, count me in. I've seen nearly everything raising my kids, and I could share a tale or two." Maya's heart swelled. "Thank you. I would love that. Together, we can make it happen." As the conversation turned to stories of the past, Maya felt a renewed sense of purpose. Each shared moment resonated with her deeply, reaffirming the importance of community. Later that afternoon, as Leo napped, Maya brainstormed again, jotting down details for a flyer. She envisioned local coffee shops and parks as meeting spots, places where laughter would intertwine with the noise of children playing. But doubts crept back, and what if no one showed up? What if she failed in front of everyone? Still, she folded the flyer and placed it neatly on the kitchen table. The evening came, and with it, an unexpected knock. It was Timmy again, his dinosaur sticker sheet in hand. "I wanted to give these to Leo." His innocent decision melted some of Maya's lingering anxiety. "That's very kind of you, Timmy. Would you like to join me in making a banner for the support group?" His eyes widened in delight. "Can I make a T-Rex?" "Of course. Let us make the biggest T-Rex ever." As they created together, Maya found a thread of connection running deeper than ever with those around her, a community woven together by shared struggles and creativity. But the question lingered in her mind: how would she gather everyone willing to join her on this mission? The real challenge lay ahead: pulling together a crowd, navigating her own fears, and figuring out how to unite all those stories into something beautiful. Would she brave the leap of faith, stepping outside her comfort zone to build this vibrant tapestry? The answer awaited just beyond the next chapter. Maya woke the next morning with a sense of determination bubbling beneath the surface. The previous day's activities had ignited something within her. Sitting at the kitchen table, glancing at the folded flyer she had made, she felt an electric charge of hope. She was ready to push past her fears and step into the unknown. After Leo finished his breakfast, and they played a game of peekaboo, she set her sights on getting the word out about the support group. With renewed energy, she loaded Leo into the stroller and ventured out. The crisp air greeted her, invigorating her spirit, and she smiled down at her son. "Today is the day, buddy," she said with a confidence she hoped matched her words. Their first stop was the local park, a hub for families with children. As they ambled along, she handed out flyers to other parents, explaining her vision of a community where they could all share their highs and lows. Some looked intrigued, while others simply smiled and folded the flyers into their pockets. "Thank you for helping us connect," a mother with 2 toddlers said, her eyes lighting up. "It sounds like just what we need." Maya's heart swelled with joy. This was her dream coming to life. Words of encouragement filled her mornings, each interaction slowly transforming her doubts into a tapestry of shared experiences. As she continued, she noticed a small group by the playground. They were laughing, their children darting around joyfully. Gathering her strength, Maya approached. "Hi there! I'm starting a support group for parents, and I'd love for you to join us." One of the mothers, a tall woman with dark curls, eyed her skeptically. "What if no one shows up? I mean, it's hard to rally people together." Maya felt the familiar pang of uncertainty but took a deep breath. "Even if it's just a few of us, it's better than nothing, right? Sometimes, we just need a few friendly faces to lean on." The others nodded in agreement, and Maya felt her worry begin to lift. This might actually work. They exchanged numbers, and as she walked away from the park, a warm glow filled her heart. Back home, Maya began planning the first meeting. She decided on the local coffee shop as the venue. With Leo resting in his crib, she poured herself a cup of tea and sat down with her notebook. Thoughts raced through her mind: how would they gather to share their joys and pains? What topics would resonate? Suddenly, her phone buzzed. It was a group text from the mothers she met at the park. "We're in. Can't wait for this." Maya's breath caught in her throat. The message felt like a gentle affirming nudge, pushing her closer to her goal. She couldn't help but smile. That evening, while Leo played at her feet with his toys, she began sketching ideas for the meeting. Banners, fun activities, maybe even a small snack table. As she wrote, ideas flowed: a storytime section where parents could share their favorite childhood memories, or a resource swap where they could exchange tips on parenting hacks and local services. As excitement enveloped her, she paused. There was a nagging concern lurking in the back of her mind. Would the intimacy of sharing deeper struggles still hold true in such a casual setting? The next morning, she woke up to a great sense of purpose. The day had arrived. It was time to turn dreams into reality. She tied Leo into the baby carrier on her chest, feeling the weight of her responsibilities, but also the lightness of hope. Each step felt like a leap of faith. Arriving at the coffee shop, Maya took a moment to soak in the atmosphere. It was going to be okay. She arranged chairs and snacks, her heart racing as she noticed a few familiar faces filter in. But as they gathered, Maya caught sight of someone she hadn't anticipated, an old friend from high school, someone she hadn't spoken to in years. Her heart raced with confusion. What was she doing here? As they locked eyes, uncertainty rippled through Maya. Would this friend see her vulnerability? And what stories would emerge tonight? The atmosphere thickened with potential, leaving her breathless as she turned to greet her friend. In that moment of hesitation, Maya knew she was on the brink of something profound, a journey that would open up wounds but could also lead to healing. Will she find the courage she needs? Only time would tell. Maya took a deep breath, letting the moment stretch between her and her old friend. The familiar face, once a part of her everyday life, now felt like a ghost from the past. Jenna had always been the bright spark, the one who lit up rooms with laughter and confidence. But this wasn't high school anymore. Life had changed them both. Jenna. Wow, it's been ages, Maya managed, her voice slightly shaky. Jenna's smile was warm, but her eyes held an emotion Maya couldn't quite place. Maya. I heard about your group online. I didn't know it was you starting it. Discomfort washed over Maya as she realized how much had changed since their last encounters. Would Jenna judge her for her life choices? For her struggles as a single mother? Her palms felt damp, and she could feel the energy shift in the room as other parents mingled, eyeing the two friends with curiosity. As they exchanged pleasantries, the chatter around them grew louder, but something inside Maya felt as if it was muffled. She was grateful for Jenna being here, yet the weight of her insecurities threatened to pull her under. Jenna had known her as ambitious and carefree, not as a woman juggling parenthood with her quest for fulfillment. So, what inspired you to start this group? Jenna asked, and her genuine interest sparked something in Maya. Gathering her courage, Maya explained, I just felt powerless sometimes, like I was struggling alone. I wanted to create a space where parents could share their challenges and victories, a place where we can be real. Jenna nodded slowly, her expression softening. That's beautiful, Maya. I could use something like that too. Maya's heart lifted just a little at the sincerity in Jenna's voice. Maybe this wasn't just nostalgia. Maybe this friendship could evolve into something supportive. You should join us. Every voice matters, you know? Maya said, her enthusiasm bubbling to the surface. She offered a flyer, and the brief contact of their hands sent a small shock of familiarity through her. As more parents arrived, Maya felt a sense of synergy grow. Chairs filled, faces lit up, and laughter spilled across the room. It felt like the very essence of community was infusing the air around her. The meeting began, and Maya took the lead. She welcomed everyone, feeling warmth spread through her as she introduced the idea behind the group. The chatter settled, and she could see the interest and empathy reflected in the faces around her. She encouraged everyone to share, starting with herself. I'd love to tell you about my biggest challenge being a single mother, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. But as she spoke about the sleepless nights and the fears of inadequacy, she saw heads nodding in understanding. Tears prickled at Maya's eyes, not from sadness, but from the realization that vulnerability could bring people together. Jenna's supportive gaze made her feel less alone. Parents shared their own stories, deep struggles etched into their brows but also hope shimmering in their eyes. Each confession was met with nods and words of encouragement, wrapping around each other like a warm embrace. Yet, amid all this connection, Maya sensed an unresolved tension. She wanted to ask Jenna about her life, what had changed, and what struggles she might be hiding behind that bright smile. The unspoken questions lingered, balancing on the edge of Maya's tongue. As the circle conversation flowed, Maya felt a pulse of anticipation within her. What about Jenna? What hidden stories awaited to be shared? Could their friendship be rekindled in this space of healing and vulnerability? Suddenly, Jenna's phone buzzed on the table, disruptive yet compelling. She excused herself, stepping aside, leaving Maya with a mix of curiosity and apprehension swelling in her chest. As Maya watched her friend walk away, she couldn't shake the feeling that Jenna was hiding something deep, a part of herself that was waiting for someone to reach out and recover. What would it take for that truth to come to light? Would she be brave enough to find out? The soft sounds of the coffee shop faded into the background as Maya braced herself for the next round of sharing. What was left unsaid was a mystery, and deep down, she knew that the evening was just beginning. Maya watched as Jenna stepped outside, her heart fluttering with anticipation and a little worry. There was so much unsaid, so much yearning to understand the layers behind her friend's absence from the typical chaos of life. In the supportive circle of parents, Maya felt the energy humming as connection bloomed. But something deeper pulled at her, a need to reach out to Jenna, to not let this moment slip past like a whisper in the wind. "Let us take a small break," Maya announced, feeling the weight of the room's energy shift from introspection into connection. "Just grab a drink or a snack. We'll pick back up in a few minutes." Her words fell like a gentle invitation, urging the group to converse and mingle. As the parents stood, chatting and laughing, Maya slid through the scattering of chairs, heading toward the door. She found Jenna leaning against the wall, her gaze fixed on the street, lost in thought. "Are you okay?" Maya asked, her voice just above a whisper. She slid up to her friend, folding her arms and matching Jenna's contemplative stance. Jenna turned towards her, a slight smile creeping in. "Yeah, just processing everything. It's nice to see everyone coming together. Reminds me of the good old days." But there was an undercurrent of remorse in her tone, a sadness that echoed in the cracks of her bright smile. "I hear you," Maya said softly, leaning against the wall beside her. "It's an incredible thing we're all in different places, but it feels like we understand each other more than we realize." "Exactly," Jenna replied, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "But I've been through a lot since high school. I might not be as put together as you remember." Maya hesitated, gently probing. "You could share, you know. We're all here to support each other. Whatever you're comfortable with." Jenna chuckled bitterly, the sound tinged with vulnerability. "I guess I feel like I've struggled in silence. The weight of family expectations, relationships falling apart, and trying to find my path, it's exhausting trying to hold it all together." Maya felt the pang of connection deepen between them. "You're not alone. Honestly, we're all figuring it out as we go. It's messy and uncertain for all of us," she affirmed. Jenna's eyes met Maya's and a flicker of hope glowed between them. "I know, and there's strength in this vulnerability. Watching you tonight, I felt renewed, like maybe my story matters too. I'd love for you to share it with us," Maya encouraged with genuine warmth. "You just showing up tonight is a huge step." With a slight nod, Jenna crossed her arms like a shield but also as a sign of understanding. "Maybe I will. It might just be the push I need." They stood there a heartbeat longer, a synchronized breath filling the space between them, a feeling of renewal as both women recognized the importance of connection. Back inside, the atmosphere was buoyant. Laughter erupted from every corner, a tapestry of voices intertwining as Maya and Jenna re-entered the space. Taking a deep breath, Maya gestured to the gathering. "All right, everyone. Let us come back together." As chairs scraped against the floor, excitement buzzed in the air. Parents took their places as Maya felt the collective heartbeat of the group. "Now that we've had a bit of free time, are there any other stories floating around? Don't be shy." A few hands shot up with enthusiasm, and as they began to share, Maya felt the gentle pull of friendship cementing around her. Each story shared mirrored her own experience, reminding her of the common thread binding them all together. They spoke of sleepless nights, unexpected feelings, and learning to let go of the pressures society imposed. Then, Jenna raised her hand, and in that moment, the crowd hushed. It was time. Heart pounding, she stepped forward. "I guess I can share something, too." Maya's heart swelled, knowing the bravery it took to speak up. "We're ready for you," she said, offering Jenna her supportive gaze. With a deep breath, Jenna began. "So, I've struggled with a lot since graduation. I thought I had it all figured out, but then life threw me curveballs I never saw coming. As she spoke, the tension in the air morphed into rapt attention. Maya watched as Jenna unveiled layers of her own resilience, vulnerability pooling around them. The parents were transfixed, her story intertwined with theirs about redefining hope, forgiveness, and acceptance in the darkest moments. Laughter punctuated her sadness, a lightness weaving through the gravity of her words. In the silence that followed, the group felt wrap around Jenna, their collective empathy radiating warmth, as if they shared the burden together. I sometimes wish I could have swallowed my pride and reached out sooner, Jenna confessed, her voice breaking gently. But it takes a village, you know? And I see that now. Maya's heart soared with admiration. They were building something together. Each voice, every vulnerability, wove a tapestry of resilience. As the evening closed, hugs and exchanges of contact numbers filled the room. Parents lingered, acutely aware that amidst their struggles, they had forged a community, a welcoming embrace that understood loneliness, hope, and heartache. With this new commitment sprouting, Maya felt the warmth settle in her spirit. Jenna walked up to Maya at the door, her smile renewed. Thank you for pushing me to share. I feel lighter. Like maybe there's hope in owning my story. Maya hugged her tightly. You were amazing. We're all in this together. And in that moment, under the soft glow of the cafe lights, they knew they were just beginning to forge a path forward, not just for themselves, but for the families depending on their shared strength. Maya glanced at the space surrounding them, now filled with laughter and a tangibly deeper connection. With every triumph and tears shared, they were lighting the path for others. As they stepped outside, the moon hung high, about to illuminate a journey freshly embarked upon, painted with stories that mirrored the beauty of resilience. This was just the beginning of their transformation, each moment glowing with hope. Maya smiled, feeling the electric thrum of possibility dance around her heart. Together, they would face whatever came next, an adventure fueled by love, community, and unwavering support. And as they walked together, a fresh breeze of determination swirled, their shared bond weaving tightly into the very fabric of their lives. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support, and leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You know they'll thank you for it.